Welcome everyone to Snake Pit, another Wargame Red Dragon underplayed map, and actually one of the more fun ones in my opinion. A lot of plateaus, lots of differences in heights, so you can do some big ambush plays. For example, here we can ambush this road here, so it's quite a lot of fun maps that are not really being played enough in my opinion. Now, before we start off, just a massive shout out to the patrons of the channel, showing up on the screen here. Really appreciate you guys. You guys are making this kind of content possible. So today we are playing as UK Mechanized, and normally I would keep it on my point of view, or I keep it on neutral, but today I want to keep it on my point of view so that we can kind of give you guys like a first person type of view of the match. So hopefully that'll work. Now on the left side, what I'm doing here is basically I'm moving an SAS squad and a recon squad here together with ATGMs and manpads. And over here we have some ferret recon units, really nice ATGM vehicles with 22 AP, and it's a recon unit, so it's ideal. We also have some Chieftain Mark 11s, some warriors with Fusiliers, we have a Stormer, and some mortars being spawned in. Now with this map, it's kind of mirrored. So what happens is the enemy will push here hard and blue team will push really hard over here because it's simply closer to the enemy's spawn. Now on the right side, immediately a huge push for the center towns. That's quite essential here in the middle. So we have Canis Lupus and Heinz who will together battle for this sector here. A lot of units being spawned in by Aerix, and he does have the most kills at the end of the match. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how his side of the map, or how his side of the battle went. A lot of Mi-24Ds cutting off the convoy of Canis Lupus, but with the Crotal and the Mistrals, we start taking out those helicopters. Now over here, a massive armored convoy. We got a BU and two T-72 Bs, the 89 variants, 140 points, 20 AP and 20 armor. Really good tanks. And on the left side, I didn't actually spot anything. So the ATGMs and manpads can just move in there really nicely and uncontested. So we have a ferret and a chieftain combo over here, another combo over there. We have some warriors moving up, and the plan is to set them just below this hill here, so that as soon as we build up enough forces, we can push over the hill and take over Alpha. Now on the right side, a lot of helicopters being used by Dodor, and Aerix is playing as Murica, so you should have good enough AA to take care of helicopters. We got Commanders Para and Jaeger pushing up against FJB. Killith definitely made a big push into Echo. Milan team just gets one tapped. At this point, I'm trying to help out my buddy here. These two T-72 OBRs are being a little bit of a problem. ATGM first one missed. Second one luckily gets a side shot and takes out one of those T-72s. Now the Chumat there takes out the other one. The BU is a little bit too ambitious of a target for me to take care of, so we do fall back momentarily. Now on the right side we have Aerix moving up his Rangers. For some reason it's all Rangers. I'm not quite sure what the thought process is behind it. They're good units, but there are some better units to use. Chaparral comes in, and that should be able to deal with some of these helicopters if it does manage to hit. It's kind of notorious for missing everything. Really nice combination of units here with some Vulcan vehicles and a PVATs, some mortars and M1A1 Abramses. Now over here we have our Lynx Tow 2 trying to stop this BU here. We do luckily hit it once, and that forces this guy to fall back. And we actually managed to hit it again. So that guy's definitely messed up. Now on the right side, the battle has kind of calmed down. We do have a cluster strike hitting here. I'm not quite sure if that actually took out anything, but damage is quite limited. Now the idea here was to move up my chief to Mark 11s to try to get a side shot on one of these BUs. But unfortunately that doesn't quite go according to plan. We do manage to get the first hit, bringing it down to 4 HP. But because we are shaken and he's worried, his reload time will be faster. And we get wrecked. Now back to the right side here. MiG-25 RFB comes in with a lot of bombs. Let's see if the AA is good enough to kill this. Oh, definitely is. That was most definitely not worth it. Now at this point there's a bit of a pause here on the left side. We do have Killeth keeping up the push because this region is just completely left open. There's a Leclerc in the back, but that is about it. Quite an interesting fight so far. We are leading. We're at +1 with 104 conquest points versus absolutely nothing. Mainly because the enemy didn't really capture their zones. Like Alpha isn't captured yet. They just captured Bravo. And Delta and Foxtrot also took a little bit of time. So as you can see, the moment Heinz moves over this hill, he just gets blasted by the amount of tanks. Now the plan right now is to get reinforcements up, so we move another ferret, we have some more Warrior 90s, we have our Warriors and Fusiliers on the front together with the Chieftain Mark 11, and the idea is to take over this hill here so that we can have a direct line of sight on all the enemy's forces. Another CV being bought by Heinz, which will put us back to +1. Now Eric's, although he does have Lima completely secured, he does keep the push going. Got a longbow there, we got 2 M1A1s. Deadly combination. FJBs took out the Cobra, but luckily the longbow is far away. On the left side we do spot a few units by Killeth, but none of those are really being an issue. It's just a deadly combination of firepower, just 50 cals everywhere. Now the plan for me right now on the left is to hold off the attack as long until I have a good amount of units here, like AA, until we have mortars, more recon, some supplies, some infantry. I always like to wait and build up my forces first. Now we moved up a ferret over here. And I think we actually took out a few units. There's a T-55 over there. But I don't think we took out anything on this hill. No, it seems quite untouched. BU gets spotted again, gets side shot by the SAS. Very nice hit. And we got the Chumat keeping it on his toes. Unfortunately, there's another BU there that just completely wrecked this SAS team. Very nice ambush by Heinz. As you can see, we have some more Fusilier 90s being spawned in to basically take over this little bit of a ridge here. We have some strikers being spawned in as well. And the next thing that I will put money into are tracked rapiers. Really nice Hornet strike there, taking out that BU and an AA, and the Kurnas takes out the second one. What a strike. And those are $2. Now right now the enemy did gain a few conquest points. They're 31 versus our 105. So if they keep this up and keep Bravo in their own hands and maybe neutralize Echo, they could definitely do some damage. Now we moved up a ferret to get a nice line of sight on all the enemy's mortars, but instead we spot this BTRT. Now the BTRT is really well armored. 13 front armor. It is kind of crazy. Now on the right side, Aerix is kind of poking around this little bit of a building complex area. I don't quite know what to call this. Farm area? Because taking these flank buildings is super important. Just as I've done here. If the enemy took this, they could have easily flanked around and nipped us in the butt there. Avia comes in with a lot of bombs, takes out most of the Legion 90s. But Canis is definitely right on top of this. Very well microed by Canis and Aerix. These guys are definitely leading this game. I'm playing more of a support position, or support role. Now speaking of supporting, I do push up into Alpha, but as you can see it is not well defended at all. I think most of them went into Bravo. So we just have our Fusilier 90s together with Warriors. One Chieftain Mark 11, we have our AA in the back here as well. And we have some ATGM vehicles coming up, together with recon vehicles. Now there was a time where Sapries were really good. I think this was in really early Wargame. Like 2015 or so, 2014, 2015. Flamethrower infantry was super strong. But now they're kind of mediocre. It's more about the Spetsnaz and the Legion 90s. Now Heinz calls in some more armor. We got 2 Charlie 1 Mark 1s coming up. Really nice tanks, 17 AP and 19 front armor. It does lack in the department of penetration, which is obviously very important. But for 105 points, getting 19 front armor is really nice. Now at this point, Killith takes the lead here on the left and tries to push me back out of Alpha. We spot the enemy's what we thought was a command, but it turns out to be recon. So we delete those markers, and now there's a big push happening on the right side. Riflemen and Rangers trying to battle against Specialny Jonotkis and Commandozis. Not going to end well for Aerix in this department. This is just a lovely sight. And here's actually a really good point to pause and look at the unit composition, because a lot of people find this really difficult. Now what we have is we have infantry fighting line infantry in the front together with support vehicles. So APCs that actually have a gun on it. We have some man-pads, so some close support units, and then we have AA in the back that is a little bit further away together with AGGM vehicles as well. Basically, whatever the enemy would throw at us, we would have units to counter it. And the positioning of these types of units are also really important. So try to build like a 3-line setup. Your line infantry, some support infantry or units, and then only support units. Like multi-role in the middle, support in the back, line units in the front. That way you can always quickly switch in between lines and give support to your units on the front line, just as I'm doing here with the SAS. Somehow both the Javelins and the Stormer miss twice. But luckily with the third shot we take it out. Now I am more interested in this push. We got mortars on the Commandosi. The MBT-70 with its 5 HE takes out the Specialty Jonutki here. And I'm wondering if he can actually push the enemy out of that sector. The BUs are still being a huge problem. But let's see if the Chally ones can deal with it. They spot the BMPT. Oh, the BU is moving in. Don't move it back. That was a mistake. Yikes. That's painful. That BU is a huge problem. Also, another point is don't outstretch yourself. Now, because I've taken over a lot of territory, I'll call in additional units to fill the gaps, because if you expand, you need more units. Look at it as a balloon. If you blow up a balloon, the surface area of the balloon increases, which is a metaphor for the area that you control. But the amount of air that goes into the balloon is much more than that. It increases much more than the surface area. And the air that you put into the balloon is your units. So I think with that metaphor, you do understand that for each mile that you take over in territory, you need, you need double the units. Maybe it doesn't make sense with those kind of metrics, but you get the point. Now with that, the guy on the left side does quit. And that enables me to basically freely push up on the left, which was kind of disappointing. I really wanted to fight with all of our units that we had. Chieftain Mark 11 just snipes that unit. We move up our warrior Milans here, and a bunch of our Fusiliers together with our Ferret Recon to try to get a line of sight on the enemy. Now Dodor is definitely keeping the pressure up against Aerix over here. And I'm kind of surprised they didn't do a flank over this mountain. Got a Kurnas and a seaplane coming in. There goes the BMPT. And unfortunately for these BMPs, there's not much they can do. They're so good. Just 50% accuracy and 3 AP is just amazing. The track rapiers just sniped as I wanted to. I think it was trying to drop bombs right here. And we sniped it right on time. Now we keep the pressure up in Alpha, we move up some of our support units, such as the Ferret Recon. We get supply lines going up, we have a lot of supplies to resupply our units here on the front line, such as these Fusiliers that are about to get wrecked, but also the Warrior Milans here, to get them repaired. Now Arix is still trying to take over that right side, which is being really well defended by Dodor. But I think it's the fact that he needs to spread out his units this much. Maybe it would have been a better idea to take over the forest instead. Now by neutralizing Alpha, we put ourselves to +3. The command, I think, was right over here somewhere. But they're not giving up. They just neutralized Bravo. That's a weapon jam on a Charlie 1 Mark 1. Not the prettiest sight. So I immediately move up to Lynx 87 here to help him out. And he has Heinz putting down smoke to defend the tanks. So in general, the amount of micro that is going on is really, really good. And with the second one, that thing's gone. 25 AP. It's quite insane. For a really cheap, like, anti-tank helicopter. 75 points for 25 AP. Now taking Alpha puts it as +3. Because we lost Bravo, we could have been a +4, but I mean, that doesn't really matter at this point. Arix making a fresh push on the left, this time from a slightly different direction. And that's the enemy command. We are about to see something happen to that command. FJB spotted on the left together with Mi-24s. Killith is desperately trying to kind of spot where our command is, but there's just no way. Now basically the moment this marker hit, everyone just bought every plane. We got Heinz with 3 planes, 2 Kurnaz, like paveway planes, you could say, air to ground. We have a seed plane coming in, we have our Tornado GR1, and we have a Peace Rhine. I think it's safe to say that guy didn't have a good time. Finally, we see a huge push on the right side by Arix here. And for his sake, I hope he takes it over. Now this is what I meant with my forces earlier. I always have units to quickly move to the front to reinforce my line infantry. Like for instance, we have our Green Jacket, we have some SAS, we have some Fusilier 90s that are now being moved up instead, while other units have fallen back to repair. Now going back to Delta, we have Canis Lupus trying to see what the enemy has. But Unfortunately, it's quite intense. Somehow, Arix made it into the back of Foxtrot with an MBT. But unfortunately, did not manage to take over that little farmland on the far right side. Marder 182 clapping a BMP there. Wow. Did that just survive an AT gem hit to the face? 17 AP? Okay. Did not survive the second one though. Now with that, we are at +5 because Foxtrot is neutralized. Bravo is taken back. We have the enemy UAZ sitting right there. And it's kind of game over at this point. For the enemy, that is. But in general, we just had a really good unit composition here. It's a bit of a shame that the enemy that was tasked with defending Alpha didn't quite defend Alpha the way I would hope for him to. But in general, we got some really nice gameplay here on a map that is barely played. So I hope you guys still enjoyed that. Tracked Rapiers, clap in the MiGs. It's always a beautiful sight. We got 2 tanks over there, could be a problem. Luckily, we have a Chieftain Mark 11 with 19 AP. Will I kill it? Yep. He can take a few hits too. 14 front armor is not the worst. And that concludes the game. Now we are at 1815 kills, 700 losses. Arix somehow has 3600 kills. I have no idea what he killed. Probably a lot of airplanes, maybe a lot of commands, like expensive helicopters, that kind of stuff. But yeah, let's look at the kill list here. Ferris did really well. SAS killed a bunch of units as well. Lynx, TOW 2 definitely did really nicely. Stormer took out a bunch of helicopters. SAS took out 2 Hinds and an FJB squad. And we have a Chieftain Mark 11 taking out some T-72s as well. We did lose quite a lot of units to enemy tanks and enemy helicopters. But that is really all of our kills. This little bit of this little list right here. So I do hope you guys enjoyed that as well. That was definitely, the map is kind of growing on me. I really like these types of underplayed, underappreciated maps, and this is definitely one of them. I played Amaze in Japan, Korea Rocks, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, people only play Hop and Glory, they only play Jungle Law, they only play, you know, 38 parallels, straight to the point, that kind of stuff. And it just kind of gets boring. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please do like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys back in the next video. Take care.